video podcast.
What's so mean?
We need ferns.
On your head.
Yeah, we need ferns.
Oh my god.
Between two ferns.
Are they dorky?
Oh
You don't even know this before you procreate with him, do you?
Hey,
we're dorky.
Jeez. YouTube audience, you should know that there are absolutely drop-dead sexy women making fun of us off camera. That's important for you to know that.
So do we want to talk about Richard Sanderson first?
Richard Sanderson.
Richard Sanderson.
I know nothing about the guy.
Me either, but he is the proud owner of the Freethought Bullies hashtag.
Yes, he is the coiner, the originator, the author of the hashtag. And if I remember correctly, the very first tweet that Sanderson put up was complaining about Ophelia Benson. Something about how...
A likely source.
Yeah, something about how those threats were actually crazy fan mail from supporters.
Was that it? Well, I know that's the actual story, but I didn't know that was his. That's what spurred it.
Hold on a second. Okay, so Sanderson is. I guess what he's trying to say there is that Ophelia is bullying people by pulling out of TAM for reasons that Sanderson considers less than ingenuous.
Well, yeah, and I can see why he feels that way. He could be wrong, but I can understand his reasonings, because it seems like a small offense in his mind, in his privileged mind, that such a vaguely, possibly, it sounded creepy. It's a creepy letter.
It was a very creepy letter.
Very creepy letter, and it did sound vaguely.
It was either satire gone terribly wrong,
or just
satire with an audience of one. Like,
yeah, like no one's a part of this. We don't know what you're saying. You're not funny.
Yeah, or it was a genuinely concerned, paranoid fan who is like truly over the top paranoid.
Right, and yeah, maybe she attracts that type of person.
I don't think what Ophelia did was bullying. She pulled out of TAM. She felt threatened. The way that she announced it, the way that she kind of blamed TAM, blamed DJ for failing to respond to her creeper fan.
Yeah, well, and then she said that I emailed, Ophelia said that she emailed DJ, and DJ's response wasn't good enough for her. And so that's why she jumped ship, and he didn't seem that concerned about it. But so I can see why
she was the only Freethought blogger on the bill at TAM.
Yeah.
So they went from having 1 to having 0 on the bill at TAM.
Right.
And I wish I could say TAM was the only conference that had a Freethought blogger pull out due to alleged threats.
But we can't.
But we can't say that.
We can't say
and
that.
I can't say more. I will not say
That's more back channel. We're not going to let you in.
Yeah, we're not going to let you in on the back channel.
No.
But TAM was not the only conference that had their only Freethought blogger pull out due to alleged threats.
Yeah. But I can see why he feels like that was her pulling a stunt. Because it didn't seem like enough for her to remove herself from an event that was a couple months away.
She could have done it in a classy way. The way...
Right, behind...
Say, I have personal reasons I'm just pulling out.
Yeah.
She didn't announce any conflict. She didn't say that it's the fault of the organizer. She just pulled out, and... I think
you're right. I think...
There is a graceful way to pull out of these things.
Yes, there was, and she made it easy for someone saying that she had her hair on fire, and this was too easy this is too small of a thing for her to jump out. There has to be more to it. There has to be more to the reason why you're running out of TAM so fast, because this doesn't seem like enough. Surely she's had weird, vaguely threatening emails before.
It's hard to believe that somebody that internet famous doesn't receive vaguely threatening emails.
And she's never let it sit on this.
Like we've been on the internet, we get threats.
Right.
From crazy hicks in Oklahoma who want to kill us dead.
Yes, and say weird things about where you work and all that kind of stuff. So everyone, if you're on the internet doing stuff, not even if you're famous, just if you're on the internet, you you are liable to be threatened, and that's wrong. That's
It's
sad.
terrible.
It's terrible. But it did seem like she was using this as a way to get something over on Tam, and it kind of worked because everyone on Freethought blogs jumped in behind her and said, "I'm not going to Tam." PZ said he wasn't going to Tam, like it mattered.
Wait, wasn't that before? Wait.
Did they already fall out? No, I think it happened May 25th, and then everyone else after that. It was like May 25th to 27th. That's when she got the threat.
But the FT Bullies tag wasn't coined until that.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, PZ Myers dropped out after Rebecca.
After Rebecca did.
After Rebecca dropped out. Okay, never mind.
The boycott of Tam by Freethought blogs and Skepchick is a real thing. And they say it's not a boycott. It's just us using our moral authority to tell our many, many fans why we're not going.
Yeah, what do you think that is?
That's a boycott.
It's not an official. You don't have to sign any papers for a boycott. You just say, I'm not going, and here's my reasons why, and
then if
this is the reasons why you shouldn't go.
If your legions of followers, even if you just said your reasons why, if you
Right.
have legions of followers and they pull out, and 42% reduction in female attendance is pretty significant.
Yeah, and they've been fighting for months, since end of December of 2011. They've been bickering between Freethought bloggers and their friends and DJ.
Or maybe it's not bullying, but I mean, it's something.
It's something. It's something underhand. It's something not...
So I guess
It's something untoward.
the point that we're getting at here is that FT Bullies as a tag, as a phenomenon, was rooted in the conflict between Ophelia Benson and Tam.
Right.
That's... That's where it started.
Yeah. But this has been such a tightly wound yarn that every single time you feel like you've understood what the source is, you realize there's even more back history. And
Right.
it's such a scary...
It goes back to Elevator Gate, of course.
Of course,
Everything
yeah.
does.
And then someone's hinted at the fact that it might have gone even beyond Elevator Gate.
Early?
We're talking about the yarn you pull open and just keep going down these levels and levels of more information.
Forgot where this hashtag come from. Oh, it goes back to this. Well, why is there a conflict between these two groups of people? Well, that goes back to this, and that goes back, and it just goes back and back. All these feuds, all the way back.
These feuds, they're such cheap shots, such sniping at one another, and it just builds upon
It's tribalism.
itself.
It's tribalism. Like, I'm Team Tam, Team JREF, Team FTB. That's my team, my tribe. And you're on the other team. Fuck you.
We would denounce this in any other group.
We make
would,
fun
we
of
would
it.
look at it and think this is hilarious. Look at them trying to separate each other and destroying each other.
Look at those Protestants and Catholics
Yeah, right, exactly.
arguing on the finer points of doctrine. Aren't they hilarious? Where are we? Where were we?
Talking about tribalism.
Tribalism. It's a problem.
It's a problem because you don't actually get anywhere. You just try and win. So if you're in an argument and all you're trying to do is win, you're liable to make cheap shots that will make you look good, but not actually get you anywhere towards truth.
You know, would be a great place to do that. Would be a place where you can only fire off 140 characters at a time.
Right. It's very challenging, but it can be done.
But my point is that tribalism is the whole story of what happened to this hashtag. At first, a few people were complaining about Freethought blogs.
Yeah. Malcontents says.
Malcontents, yes. Saying, I don't like how they did this, I don't like how they did that. And then a bunch of people from Freethought blogs jumped in and started talking about, we love Freethought blogs, we love it. And then
making ridiculous claims like Freethought blogs save the world or whatever their awful Freethought blogs.
Yeah, they made Steve Gutenberg a star.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
They killed the electric car.
That's right.
All that stuff.
I like that one.
Well, that was entertaining. It was.
But it was always like, hey, we're going to crash this tag. How dare you? How dare you speak out against us?
Yeah, I'm crashing a hash to dilute somebody else's dissent. Maybe it's not bullying, but it doesn't exactly make you not look like a bully.
I know.
It's not exactly disconfirming the hypothesis that you're a bully.
Exactly.
And you jump in and say, we're going to crash your hash. Now you can't talk to each other about how FTB is doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But the point is that pretty quickly on, everyone lined up and took sides. and it was all like Freethought blogs can do no wrong on one side, and on the other side is they can do nothing right. They're just evil, and PZ is the Pope and molest children.
Which is, those are both obviously wrong.
Completely wrong.
Way of thinking about anything in the world. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfectly wrong either.
If all you do is defend or attack consistently somebody who's within your own movement, then if all you do is defend them, then you're. It's so. May I use an analogy?
Yes.
This roof used to leak.
Right.
Right? And when the roof leaks, the appropriate response is to say, there's something wrong with this house. We need to get it fixed. So you pinpoint exactly what's wrong, you say what's wrong, and you figure out how to fix it. If the discussion on what to do with the house had been happening on Twitter, it would have been, there's nothing wrong with the house! The house is perfect!
It would have been.
How dare you criticize the house for leaking!
Yeah.
Just let it be! Nothing needs to be fixed!
It's fine. In fact, I like a little water in my house.
Yeah,
it's great.
Who doesn't like water? Water's good for you.
It's fine.
That'd be the pro-FTB side of the argument. Everything's perfect, nothing needs to be fixed. And the anti-FTB side would be, burn the house down, start with the roof, burn it down to the ground, burn it all down.
This place sucks. These people rule. Let's get that new house. The new house across the street. It's awesome. It's pristine. It's perfect. Move in there.
Which, by the way, what is the new house in this analogy? Is there what is the other house in this analogy? What is the?
There is no house.
There's no other. It's not like there's some other collection of Freethought bloggers. We're just gonna go across the street to Secular Web.
Yeah.
Like they have a good collection of bloggers anymore.
Right.
I'm gonna go across the street to the JREF forum. Like they have a good collection of bloggers. There is no house across the street. You have one house. Don't burn it down.
But also don't let it leak, because that's an issue.
Right? Yeah. If it's leaking privilege or something worse.
Yeah.
If there's a problem with your house, you fix it. You don't say it's immune to criticism.
No.
And we're all like, we read Freethought blogs. I read them all. I read every one of them.
That's you have way too much time in your hands. I read them.
I really hope my boss does not watch
And
this.
I hope so too. I read them too. I read more choice ones, but I do too. And most
I
time
don't read the comment threads.
Oh yeah, you're good about that. That would just take you forever and make you very upset at most time. The comment thread is the reason why I left Faringula. The reason why I stopped reading that 2 years ago. I didn't even know what the hell was going on until recently on Faringula, because I just didn't care for it. I sometimes like the science, but
Were we?
I was saying that I read Freethought blogs too. Less than you do. But I do read them, and it's a good idea to follow your advice and avoid the comments. Oh my god. They can either be really great, to my taste. My taste for a commentariat would be camels with hammers.
Oh, that's a really bold experiment. He's trying to create a completely safe place to dissent or say whatever you want as long as you're not being an asshole about it.
Yeah, in fact, he said that he doesn't want anybody to drive away his dissenters with insults or of any type, or just trying to ram them out by making them feel bad with themselves in any way.
It's a fascinating experiment, and it deserves to work. I don't know if it will, but I really hope for Dan's sake and for the sake of Freethought blogs that it does work. That there's a place where people can see what it's like to have productive discussions where you only attack ideas and not people.
Oh, well, don't you just have the luxury of hoping for that as a privileged, cisgendered white male?
I do. I do. I think you might be making fun of somebody right there.
I feel like I'm making fun of anybody who attacks Dan. They say, oh, well, you just have the luxury of wanting civil discussions because you don't have to deal with this in the real world. There are so many awful things that happen to people in the real world, and you have no idea what their backstory is. But it doesn't mean that they get to treat you like crap just because something bad happened to them. That's not how the world works. That's not how privilege works. And maybe an other way of understanding them. Like, I understand that you've had some more burdens in your life than me, but it doesn't give them the right to treat you like crap. That's not a part of privilege. It's not a license. It's just a way of understanding somebody.
Yeah, I don't. But the idea that Dan's doing this because he's privileged. I mean, it's true in the sense that anyone who has enough spare time to do philosophy is privileged because they're not low down on Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's a terrible idea.
It doesn't mean that it's awful. Yeah, it doesn't all of a sudden make that a moot point. Like, we shouldn't even bother with you.
So, basically, the course of the FT Bullies hashtag. Rich starts it off with a critique of Ophelia. A bunch of people jump in to defend Freethought blogs. And then after that, we got on there and we tried to make a few trenchant critiques of particular things that the Freethought bloggers had done. So
right.
This right here, when you're dropping docs on somebody or you're trying to go to their professors to get them disciplined.
Reprimanded in some way that could also lead to being fired.
Right. Or you're going to their blogging network and trying to get entire threads taken down instead of just the offending posts.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, to me, it's bullying.
Yeah.
It's cyberbullying in the classic sense. You're trying to manipulate somebody. And to me, the most pervasive form of bullying at Freethought blogs is the commentary at Pylon.
Yeah, which sometimes that commentary is other Freethought bloggers.
Mm-hmm.
They comment so often on other people's blogs, and then they say, "Oh, but we're not connected. We're loosely connected." Yeah, you're loosely connected, but you also are a part of the commentariat. You jump in, and your words are weighted more.
Yeah, we're loosely connected, but right now we're all making a concerted effort to see to it that ideas X, Y, and Z are off the table. That they don't get to be discussed.
Right, exactly.
So that's an issue, and call it bullying or not, it's a serious issue. And what I found in the course of trying to interact on the Twitter is that no critique of Freethought blogs was allowed without being automatically lumped in with the misogynist.
Oh, yeah, totally.
If you critique them, then you must be a woman-hating pickup artist, MRA, something.
Or just privileged.
Misogynist, privileged asshole, and like all you do is just go hit on women in elevators and try to denigrate them somehow.
And at first, I thought that was just a cheap remark by the MRA people, who we have seen. I say MRA. I just mean the people who are jerks. The people who are jerks, I thought that was just their way of saying, oh, well, you just characterize us, all of us, as people who hate you. But it does seem like really, small matters of critique are treated this way. And it makes sense because it's easy.
It is easy.
Someone disagrees with you and you say, oh, that's because you're misogynist.
You're just one of them.
You're just one of them.
Yeah. It's all us and them.
Yeah.
There's them and us.
That takes almost no thought, actually.
And I would say that the bulk of the people following the hashtag are either them, as in total defenders of the institution.
People who comment on every single blog post.
Or these absolutely irrational haters.
Yeah.
Like, let me be clear on this.
They are.
There are some haters that...
And they have come out of the woodworks lately.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Ahmed Speaks.
Oh, wow.
That guy.
Elevator gate.
Elevator Gate.
Get rid of that. Ugh,
Seriously.
Disgusting.
It's been over a year, guy. Fucking let it go. And by the way, you do not have an untrammeled right to ask women for sex in elevators at 4 a.m.
No.
That is such a dick move. Elevator Gate. Get over it. And Coffee Loving Skeptic.
Yeah.
These haters, they just come on, they just bring nothing but hate and bile, and they can't get over the elevator thing. Why is that even? Why are we talking about this?
She said, "Guys, don't do that."
Guys,
and then she moved on. It was It was like a minute, maybe less than a minute of her 10-minute video.
And it's guys, don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even necessarily like I couldn't tell from the context. It didn't sound like she was saying, "Don't ever hit on anybody." Maybe there's some situations where a woman wants to be hit on, even in an elevator if she's sending signals. But Rebecca wanted to make it clear that she wasn't sending those signals to that guy that she hadn't talked to.
That was an opportunity for people to be charitable or not.
And
So you can either say, well, she just means that about herself, and also, I'm sure other women feel the way that she felt.
Or I'm sure would.
Yeah, totally. At 4 o'clock in the morning and across the pond in a hotel, yeah, of course they'd feel uncomfortable. Even if it's irrational, who cares? They could. It might be. It
I
could
don't
be
think it's
rational.
irrational.
I don't think it's
I don't
irrational
think it's
either.
irrational.
I don't think it's irrational either. I'm just saying, even if it is, that's just how they feel, and you could see how it's easy to. That's an easy situation for most people to predict someone being uncomfortable.
A little charity, a little.
Yeah, exactly. Be charitable. Say that. Well, she just meant that she wasn't making an overarching statement. She was just talking about her own experience.
But the point is, like, even though I totally think she was right, and elevator guy was in some way empathetically deficient, emotionally deficient, or otherwise just.
He had to have been.
But even if she
Hopefully.
wasn't right, she's expressing her opinion about how people should interact. Everyone should be able to just shoot off their opinion on YouTube, like
Yeah,
you're doing,
exactly.
and not have it become a fucking international incident.
For a year.
Seriously, just, it's YouTube. You shoot off, you just say what you're thinking right then. You don't have a script. It's okay to just say what you're thinking on YouTube. Comments are disabled.
I never really thought about it like that. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Why is that such a big deal? Even if she had been wrong, then, Jesus.
But and that has been an issue for both sides. The whole arguments have been devoid of a charitable sense of argument.
Yeah.
No one is arguing the best possible argument of their opponent.
Right.
They are doing the worst possible argument and then laughing at them.
Yeah, instead of, take the, people have wanted to refocus FT bullies as a phenomenon, wanted to refocus it on the question of sexual harassment policies.
Yeah.
Nobody has been addressing the arguments about sexual harassment policies. Do they really decrease organizational liability, or do they increase it? There's a live argument to be had there. There's evidence, there's case law. You could be doing research and having an argument. Instead, it's just, yeah, here's my opinion. I'm not going to look anything up. There's no attempt to make an argument. Well, no, there's precedent that in the case of an employer, this reduces liability. In the case of a non-employer incident, then it doesn't. They're not actually doing research. There's no actual facts being brought to the table for the argument. It's all just emotional spew.
And if you ask that question, then you're jacking off. And obvious jacking off is
J-A-Q-ing off.
Yeah.
Just asking questions. It's a
So-
terrible thing to do, apparently, among skeptics.
Because
Asking questions.
they feel like your question has a sinister tone to it, I'm guessing. Like, no, really, you're asking this question because you want to walk me down this primrose path where I agree with you.
It's a legitimate form of persuasion. What are
I
you
think
going to say?
so, too.
Socrates is a jack-off now?
Well, they would. But
Socratic method is just jacking off.
hey, that is kind of how the authorities felt about Socrates, right?
Yeah, they tried to... Well, they tried.
They got him to do it eventually. He got to take his own poison because it makes you uncomfortable. Whenever you have an untenable argument and someone's asking you questions that reveal the insecurity of your argument, that makes you insecure.
The point is, we're not even having the argument. It's not like at any point, anywhere on Freethought blogs, we said, okay, do anti-harassment policies work? And by work, what do we mean by that?
Yeah.
Do they accomplish these goals? And what's the evidence that they do, in fact, accomplish these goals? And if they do accomplish these goals, how?
Right.
Which, if it's the training aspect that does it, then we're not doing that. The conferences are not doing training,
No.
except for their staff. The staff are being trained badly, sometimes.
And that's already been done. So.
But the conference attendees are not being trained. They're not being told, hey, we're going to spend 10 minutes at the beginning talking about this. No, it's a link in a website.
Yeah.
How does that... How can you declare victory because there's a link in a website?
I don't know.
Does everybody read through everything on the JREF website? Does everybody go through everything on the...
Everyone's that scrupulous. Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous. So, anti-sexual harassment training works. We know this from years of research in the workplace.
Yeah.
But in the workplace, there's actual training. Annually, they go through, they do the training, they hear the thing, and they sign off that they saw it, and they did it.
And actual punishments as well.
And there's actual consequences if you break it. So the fact that anti-harassment training works in the workplace doesn't translate to conventions unless maybe they're professional conventions where the norms of the workplace have transferred over. Now, when people go to Vegas for a conference, it's entirely possible that in going to Vegas for a weekend, they're not thinking about their normal, everyday, workaday norms. Because they're in Vegas, and we've been encouraged not to think that the normal rules apply in Vegas.
And then no one's going to ask you about it later on.
Yeah, I believe,
you want to tell the truth.
I believe there's been some sort of ad campaign about that. About how what happens in Vegas doesn't follow the rules of your workplace. I don't remember the exact phrase. It's something like that. So we could be having this argument. We could be having this persuasive, this is why we think the anti-harassment policies are really going to work. But instead of having the argument, it's just, if you don't believe this is the right answer, you hate women. You hate them and you want to rape them.
Yeah.
That's how they argue. That's their mode of discourse.
Yeah, it's all about, like, you're not trusting the woman. You must think that everyone just makes up their experiences with harassment.
No, harassment happens.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that harassment happens.
There's no doubt. No, anyone who's denying that, you can just ignore them right away.
The question is, how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
How do you make it not happen? And I tend to think that anti-harassment policies are a good step. I think they're probably the best step we can take. But anti-harassment policies aren't. I mean, they weren't even necessarily the point of the hash, were they?
No.
They're just what the conversation kept being diverted onto that.
Yes, because that was an easy way of them declaring victory.
Right, like,
Well, if you don't agree with such an obviously good thing, then I don't need to listen to your arguments anymore.
Right. And what I found so frustrating about it is that while I do agree with the policies, I couldn't find hardly anyone willing to actually have the argument.
No.
To have it out and say, I couldn't find anyone really seriously willing to have, like, here's why we believe it'll reduce liability to the organizers. Here's the evidence. Yeah. It was all just assumed, oh, of course it's going to work.
Well, they kept referencing geek cons, but I didn't really see nothing more than just a reference. So.
Oh, another thing. One other point about anti-harassment policies. Most atheists, most of the time, are not going to conferences.
No, exactly. It's a small group that are going to conventions.
One could even say they're privileged.
one should.
People who have that kind of money and spare time to go to conferences. Most of us, when we get together with our local atheist groups.
Yeah, exactly.
And if harassment is a problem in our culture, in our overall culture, and in our subculture, then it's a problem that needs to be addressed by local groups. And I would say, and I apologize to the president of my organization when I say this, that we need to take this more seriously at the grassroots level. That just because FTB has a burr up their ass against TAM and JREF doesn't mean that this problem isn't actually more pervasive and more serious at the grassroots level, because that's where you actually interact with people a lot.
All right. At night with beer.
Yeah,
it's an issue.
There's a lot of drinking and hanging out.
There is.
So if there is somebody in the Oklahoma Atheists, for example, who harasses women, I want to know about it, and I will find him.
And there isn't really a system.
I will find where he lives. And I will have talk to him.
We'll have
I'll bring Brian,
conversation.
and we'll talk to him.
True. That is an important. That's
It's a point that
that might even be more important than the conventions.
It's much more important. We spend a lot more time in our local groups than we do at the cons.
Yeah.
So why is it that cons are the focus of this harassment issue? It's not like harassment doesn't happen at Skeptics in the Pub.
It's a little odd.
Or at meetups.
It's a little odd that it was. It does always seem directed as a way to get at TAM and JREF. But, you know.
It's not like they're going out of their way to get at TAM. So anyway, back to FT bullies. We're on Twitter. Everyone's polarized into these two camps.
Yeah.
And how many people have we actually found that we could really talk to? That we can talk over stuff with? I mean, there's Intrepid. I can kind of talk to him.
Yeah, for a while, and then it's just done.
Oh, I still talk to him. And Maria Matsalva, maybe.
I like her. She's so in the bag for against Freethought bullies, but still, she's interesting.
Basically, if you were hoping to have a nuanced discussion about anything,
don't go on Twitter.
Don't go on Twitter. Just we've tried it. We're warning you now, but you're on YouTube, so you're even worse.
Yeah,
you're screwed. There's just no way to have a nuanced discussion, and the only time that it happened was when somebody would say, "Hey, go check out this blog post" or something, to direct you to a longer form of discussion.
Right. Or you could have a semi-decent conversation off of the hashtag. You could find someone on the hashtag and then reply to them and not include the hashtag, and then eventually you could have a somewhat decent conversation. But once you include that hashtag in your quote, in your tweet, you will have 10 people jumping your ass, and you will have to defend yourself.
Speaking of people jumping your ass and ganging up, did you notice that sometimes people would call in like a strike from PZ or from someone else? They tag the big name people. Say,
Yes.
"Oh, look, draw attention down. Yes. Could the eye of Sauron please gaze upon us now?"
Yeah. And they would oblige.
Oh, they're and then you don't want to have that happen to you. You don't want the flying monkeys to all be released in your direction at the same time.
I had that one time. I felt a little ego boost actually when
Really?
PZ mentioned
The flying
me.
monkeys are coming after me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a big man. I feel like Justin fucking Vacula.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The vacuous troll guy. Yeah.
I'm the vacuous shitbag troll.
Yeah, and then he blocked me. That's okay. Yeah, whatever you want to do. I'll just go on incognito mode and read what you're saying.
I've gotten blocked a lot just for taking part in these conversations, and I have to say, you can snapbird me. Go back and snapbird Damien on this. I have not been insulted to anyone at any time. I've been snippish a couple times.
Yeah.
I have not been insulting. I have not told anyone to go fuck themselves with anything.
Yeah.
Porcupines or otherwise.
I've been blocked by 6 or 7.
So many blocks.
Yeah.
And then I've gotten these actually false accusations like, hey, you called Rebecca Watson a, that is bullying. When you start putting out false accusations, trying to take people who are part of the conversation but haven't taken strong sides, and you're characterizing them as misogynists from the get-go before they even get a word out.
You're lying about them. You're putting words in their mouth. That were nasty words.
That is nasty, horrible lying, just short of slander, you asshole.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
Whoever you are.
Yeah.
I think it's okay for different people to focus on different missions.
I think it's
Skeptics can focus on what skeptics focus on, and atheists can focus on what atheists focus on, and those are slightly different.
Yeah.
Those are different, and it's okay for people to have different focuses.
It is. It's got to be okay. It has to be okay. It can also be okay for Freethought blogs to pursue social justice issues. Oh my god.
Totally cool.
Makes them sound so valorous when they say, we're just looking towards social justice. But they can do that.
We all want social justice, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But they can do that. They can focus on just that. They don't have to make everyone feel bad because they want to do other skeptic activities. They don't have to denigrate people who do want to focus on alternative medicine. You don't have to drag someone else to the mud just because you feel like yours is more important.
Right. I think that we should view sexism and racism as conditions to be healed, not as ideas to be stamped out or stomped out or crushed. I know that people love those martial metaphors, but they're sicknesses that we need to focus on finding the people that have those problems and making them well,
Right.
not quarantining and killing them.
Yeah. Or leaving them behind.
Yeah, this is if there's somebody who has managed to throw out theism, they're already going to be that much easier to persuade over to the side of LGBT rights.
From what I can tell, yeah, that's been the case.
To the side of feminism, because they no longer have theism holding them back.
Yeah.
In that respect, but that doesn't mean that just because they figured out that God is pretend, that they automatically, instantly become feminists and LGBT rights activists.
Mm-hmm.
No, because they figured out that the fairy tale is in fact a fairy tale, and that's great. But there's still all the other cultural assumptions that they grew up with are still there. Yeah,
there's still many hurdles to jump. But you're right. It does mean that those are easier. Those hurdles are much smaller now. They can be rational towards those topics. They don't have to first consult all of this religious background that's steeped in their minds. They don't have to go through that first. That's gone now.
This is something I've seen a lot at Ophelia's blog and PZ's blog, is this idea that let's just make the rifts deeper. Let's just deepen the rifts and we'll have a schism.
And that'd be great because we'll be awesome and they'll be shitty and they'll be over there away from us.
And we'll be these ideologically pure, wonderful, progressive, social justice free thinkers,
Yeah.
and they'll be whatever they are. That's not how we move forward. We need to bring these people up to speed, which means having open debate where you don't take sides and demonize each other.
Yeah.
Which I guess brings me to my final point. Read Dan Fink's blog. That's the way forward. That's how you do it right.
Well, if you want to if you want to explore difficult ideas, hot topics that will otherwise be something that could trigger something in you, something awful, emotional about you. If you are in an environment where you're not going to have porcupines lobbed at you, then you can feel more comfortable and be more honest. And I feel like that's the only way of changing someone's mind, even a little bit. Even a little bit. That's the kind of change where people always say, well, what's the point? You're not going to change anybody's mind. You're not trying to change their mind 180 degrees. You're trying to change it by a couple degrees.
Right. It's a little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time.
And I've been around this movement long enough that I've seen people completely come around. Completely come around from being like hardcore Christian right, you're going to hell, the gays are going to hell, to having a completely different view of the world. And they didn't get there all at once. And they didn't get there by being shut out and demonized. They got there by people engaging with them.
This seems implausible, but yeah, I've seen it too.
We're going completely against the YouTube ethos. We're like on video arguing for a nuanced and approach. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I don't think it's going to fly.
It might not fly.
I like the dissonance of it, though.
Yeah, I do.
I like that we're using the medium of it.
It's chafing. I like to feel that chafing sense.
That chafing sense of irony deep in your heart.
Yes, yeah. That's the best type.
Do you have any other thoughts?
No, this has been it's been good for me. I think it's a pretty good rundown of Freethought bullies hashtag.
Yeah. So,
FT bullies.
So don't do it. Don't go.
No, especially it's overrun by the crazies right now.